What if I told you that the way a man truly falls in love is nothing like what you've usually been led to believe? That beneath all the logic and ego lies a heart built for connection. But it opens up in a very particular way. This isn't about tricks or assumptions. This is about grasping how the male brain genuinely experiences love and how you can spot the signals, respond with clarity, and finally, feel recognized in a relationship that reflects your deepest emotional needs. Whether you're dating again, working through a long-term bond, or just trying to make sense of what went wrong, this is the insight you've been hoping for when a man starts to fall in love. It's not the way we normally think. We often believe love grows from huge romantic actions or strong waves of attraction, but that's not entirely true. A man might be pulled towards someone physically, might even feel overwhelmed by that pull, but that's not what makes him fall in love. He falls in love when he feels emotionally secure, and for a man, security is something puzzling. He deeply needs it, but often won't let himself truly receive it. Keeping emotions in check, vulnerability has long been tied to weakness in a man's mind. So when he begins to trust someone, when he lets someone see the parts of himself he hides, even from his own mirror, that's when something powerful starts to happen. That's when his emotional walls begin to tremble, when his logical guards start to soften. It's not something he decides on purpose. It goes deeper than thought. It's brain chemistry, instinct, and emotion all combined. The male brain, when it feels accepted in a safe and non-judgmental emotional space, begins to release oxytocin, the hormone that builds connection. This isn't just about feelings. It's science and belief blending together. And belief for a man often stands between hope and fear. He doesn't fall in love when everything looks ideal. No, he falls in love when things go wrong. And you don't walk away when he admits a mistake or reveals a side of himself that doesn't match the image he shows the world. And you stay not to repair him, not to pity him, but simply to witness. That act of witnessing is sacred. And it's through that quiet, steady presence that love begins to take root in his mind and heart. Emotional safety isn't about always agreeing or being overly sweet. It's about being solid. A woman who can hold space for a man's truth without turning it into her own storm, without reacting in big emotional ways, becomes a guiding light in a world where many men feel emotionally lost. And when a man finds that light, even if he doesn't fully understand what's happening inside him, he knows he doesn't want to lose it. That's when love starts, not in drama or desire, but in calm. But this kind of emotional security is rare because many relationships work on conditions. If you do this, then I'll give you that. Conditional love. Subtle power games, keeping emotional scores, and men, whether they say it out loud or not, can feel when love is based on exchange that slowly drives him away. Maybe not physically right away, but emotionally. And once he starts to pull back emotionally, love doesn't have much room to grow. Now, once that safe feeling is there, you might think the next step is deep emotional talks, open expression and sharing feelings. But that's not always how it works, because men don't usually connect the way women do. While many women are naturally wired to bond through conversation, men are often wired to bond through doing, through action, through simply being there when... If a man starts to love you, he may not say it clearly in words, but he begins to show up in different ways. He'll fix something you didn't ask him to. He'll notice your routines, your likes and dislikes. He'll remember how you take your coffee or the exact song that calms you when you're anxious. And this isn't random. The male brain, especially when it's attached, begins collecting emotional details about you, not just to know you better, but to care for you. This is often misunderstood. When a man helps by solving a problem or doing a simple chore, it's not just to be useful. It's his way of saying, I care about your world and want to be part of it. If you really look, you'll see this in most men who are truly in love. They shift from me to we, not by saying it, but by doing it. It's not that he avoids emotional talks. It's that his emotional path often starts with action before it becomes words. This can be confusing if you're waiting for verbal signs of love, but it becomes eye-enhancing when you start to read his actions as his way of speaking. The man who silently repairs something for you isn't distant. He's loving you in the way that feels natural to him. His heart is open, even if the mouth isn't moving just yet. There's something deep and instinctual about this, something rooted in evolution. The male brain developed to protect and provide, not just in physical ways, but emotionally too. But since many relationships today don't understand or support this kind of emotional action, men often feel invisible. Their love goes unnoticed because it's not spoken. But when you begin to notice how he behaves and what he does, instead of just what he says, a new world opens up. You start to feel his love instead of waiting for it. And he senses that shift when a man realizes you understand how he expresses feelings. You become the one person who truly sees him. And to a man, that is love. That is everything. So he falls for you when he feels safe with you. He strengthens that love through shared effort, not only shared words. And when both safety and action come together, you'll see something powerful. You'll see a man who not only opens up emotionally, but fights to keep you close. Because now love is no longer a fantasy or a show. It becomes his new reality. Respect isn't just a nice bonus for a man in love. It's the foundation. You could cover him with affection, shower him with sweet words, offer endless support. But if he feels disrespected, if he feels small, ignored, or constantly put down, even in subtle ways, he will slowly back away. It usually isn't loud or sudden, but happens quietly, like a wall being built, one piece at a time. The male mind connects respect with self-worth. From early on, boys are told in many ways that their value depends on how well they perform, how tough they look, how much control they have. He learns that slipping up equals failure. And failing means shame. So when he steps into love, even if he's not aware of it, he's wondering if this relationship will build him up or tear him down. This isn't about pride. It's about hidden vulnerability. A man may never say it directly, but he deeply wants the woman he loves to admire him, not worship him. He knows he's not perfect. Not fake praise, but genuine respect for the effort he makes, for the choices he stands by, for trying even when he doesn't succeed. When he feels that something inside him becomes calm, his walls drop, his care increases, he shows up more, he gives more. But if he feels constantly doubted, corrected, joked about, especially in small but constant ways, he won't argue. He won't explain. He'll disconnect, and that disconnect can be very hard to undo, because to a man, feeling disrespected by the one person he's emotionally open with is a deep betrayal. It hits the core fear he carries that love will ask for his heart and then break it. This is why you see many men shut down after repeated criticism. Most women believe they're helping, giving advice or insight, but the male brain often takes repeated feedback, especially about things related to his skills, as a judgment, a kind of rejection on a deeper level. When that happens, he doesn't just feel bad, he feels like he's failing. And to a man, that feeling is heavy. If he feels like he can't win with you, he may eventually stop trying. Then a pattern begins. He grows distant, you feel hurt, and the relationship quietly crumbles. What he really needs isn't blind praise or control. It's acknowledgement. When he opens up and you respond with something like, "I can see how much effort you're giving," or "I know you're trying your best," that's life to his spirit. He hears, "You're still strong in my eyes. You're still valuable." And that type of respect leads to trust. And trust grows love, but even respect and emotional safety can't change one important truth. Timing is everything. A man might care about you, be attracted to you, feel connected to you, but if he's not in the right emotional space to receive love, he can't fully give it back. This isn't being mean, it's survival. The male mind often separates things, needs to succeed before becoming emotionally open, needs to build his inner safety before letting someone in. If he's still fighting inner battles, struggling with guilt, money issues, past pain, then asking him to fully commit to love is like asking someone who's drowning to build you a home. He may want to, but he just can't. And that's a difficult truth many avoid. Love by itself is not enough to keep a man. He has to be emotionally ready. Readiness doesn't mean being perfect. It means being open. If he's still hanging on to the idea of needing no one, if his self-possession feels threatened by closeness, if he still thinks vulnerability is weakness, not strength, then no matter how patient or caring you are, it won't move him into love. In fact, he often tests this, not always on purpose, but through behavior. He might suddenly go quiet, step back, emotionally disappear for a while, not to hurt you, but to see how you'll respond. Will you panic? Will you beg? Will you accuse? Or will you stay calm? Because when he's deciding whether to open up, he's not looking for someone to fix him or praise him endlessly. He's looking for someone who can be strong beside him. He wants to know that showing his softer side won't make you look at him differently, that sharing his burden won't be turned against him, that your love isn't about getting something, but about being present. If you pass that test, not by playing along, but by being steady, you'll witness something rare. His walls will come down, not because you pushed them, but because he saw you as safe. And in that moment, love becomes not a fairy tale, not a performance, but a real and powerful choice. One that changes the way he sees you and health, because choosing you means he's choosing to believe that being fully known doesn't lead to rejection, but to being truly seen. Many people believe that men mostly fall in love with what they see, that their ability to love is tied closely to physical beauty, that what draws a man in is based on looks and style, but that's only part of the truth. Yes, the male brain is naturally wired to respond to visual cues. It's built into us over time, but that's not what keeps him. That's not what creates lasting love. A man may see a woman and feel interest, but interest isn't love. What awakens deep love in him is something deeper, slower, less obvious. It's the emotional mark you leave behind that stays with him in the best way. A man falls for the energy a woman brings, how he feels around her, not how she matches society's view of beauty, but how she fits into the inner structure of his emotional life. You might wear expensive perfume, have the perfect outfit, turn every head in the room, but without emotional connection, your beauty is like fireworks, stunning, but short-lived. What he remembers is how your presence calmed him, challenged him, or showed him something in himself he couldn't see until you held up that mirror with kindness and honesty. This kind of woman is not only noticed, she is felt. And the male brain, unlike the common belief, records emotional intensity with surprising accuracy. He might not always have the words to express it, but he feels it. He feels it when you made him feel valued, when you listened without jumping to solve, when you laughed deeply at something he thought was silly. He holds on to those moments the way a soldier remembers quiet after battle. Jordan Peterson on masculine loyalty closely, even physically. That's the irony. The male brain is attracted by what it sees, but it bonds with what it feels. And many men don't even understand this until the woman has left. Then what lingers is not her body but her presence, the calm she brought, the space she allowed, the mystery. She didn't try to explain away, and this is where a deep misunderstanding happens in relationships, especially when they struggle. A man may not pursue when he's uncertain. He may not open up when he's hurting. But he notices he holds on to emotional moments like a safe gathering every time you were either his peace or his storm. And when those memories start showing a steady pattern of emotional safety, something changes. He stops searching, not just in a physical way, but in his spirit. That's what roots him. Not your age, not your appearance, not how well you satisfy him, but how you touch his soul and create a place where he doesn't have to wear a mask. That kind of moment, once lived, is unforgettable. It changes how he understands love. But turning love into a lifelong bond takes something more, something even more rare. You have to create a connection that feels emotionally one of a kind. Remember this, a man doesn't commit fully and deeply just because you're a good match. Plenty of people are a good match. What's hard to find is emotional uniqueness. If he feels what he shares with you could be easily repeated with someone else, he'll keep one foot out the door, even if he doesn't mean to. But if he begins to feel that the emotional world he steps into with you is completely unique, that no other connection, no other woman, no other relationship has that exact energy, that depth, that sacred stillness, he will shut every other door by choice. And this is where so many relationships break apart without any warning. A woman may give love, loyalty, even patience, but she gives it too fast, too openly, without really choosing, and the man doesn't feel special. He feels like just another part of a familiar pattern, not the end of it. You need to make him earn his way into the most sacred parts of who you are, not to manipulate, but because you value yourself. When you share your emotional self, slowly with care and clear limits, he realizes he's being welcomed into something sacred. And that sacred space, once he's inside, is not something he can just forget. He starts to feel the relationship not as some back and forth, but as a spiritual experience. And that's what makes love turn into real devotion. That's what changes him from casual to committed, from distracted to fully present, when he no longer has to act strong to feel powerful, when he can be soft and still feel like a man, when he can be truly seen and still feel honored. And that, in the end, is what separates the kind of love that fades from the one that becomes part of who he is at his core. You're not trying to be the most stunning woman in the room. That's not what makes him stay. What makes him stay is how he feels when he's with you, and how he sees himself. There comes a point in a man's journey through love when something deep changes, not in how he talks or even in his actions, but in how he views himself around you. You see, a man doesn't just fall for you, he falls in love with who he is when he's with you. That's something hardly anyone talks about, but it's so important. You can be smart, loyal, beautiful, everything that looks perfect, but if he feels small around you, if he feels like he's always failing, being judged or getting it wrong, his spirit will slowly pull back, not because he doesn't care, but because you become linked to a feeling of losing himself. A man bonds deeply when he feels he is becoming better, not shrinking and not being micromanaged, but truly growing. That growth doesn't always feel nice, but it has to feel worthwhile. If he starts to believe he's becoming a stronger father, a more focused worker, a braver man, simply because you are part of his life, then his bond with you becomes something that can't be broken, because now you're more than a partner. You're the mirror that shows him the version of himself he admires, and no man easily walks away from the person who helps him see his own worth. This isn't about boosting his ego. It's not about fake praise. That kind of flattery falls apart under pressure. Real love does something deeper. It pushes him to level up, to fight his inner battles, to understand what he stands for, to move away from the comfort that's kept him stuck. And if you can call him higher without putting him down, if you can expect more from him, because you believe he has it in him, you become part of his transformation. But here's the tough truth. You can't force a man to meet his potential. You can't mother him into greatness. The moment you take over his personal growth, the balance changes. He starts to view you like a parent, not a partner, and the desire fades slowly but definitely. What inspires him isn't being told who to be, it's being believed in. Belief is powerful, not naive or blind belief, but the kind that sees his raw nature and gently says, "There's more in you. I can sense it." That belief becomes a quiet voice in his mind. And if the timing is right, if he's ready, it takes root, and you'll notice something special when it does. He becomes protective, not in a jealous or controlling way, but truly protective, not just of you, but of the bond itself. He'll start guarding what you share like a man protects something sacred, because now it's tied to who he is. It's no longer just about chemistry or comfort. It's about who he's becoming. He starts to see loving you as a responsibility, a moral choice that calls out the best in him. But this can go even deeper. True love turns into something greater. It becomes legacy, and legacy to a man means everything. Many men, after a certain emotional point, begin to ask more serious questions. What impact have I had? Who did I become? And did it matter to someone? Love that lasts is love that helps. A man finds answers to those questions. You're not just spending time together. You're shaping a story that defines his life, and if that story is rich in meaning. If your place in his journey turns ordinary moments into a deeper purpose, he won't just love you, he'll cherish you. And that kind of deep care becomes a rare and sacred devotion, especially in today's world. But that devotion has to be nurtured, and what keeps it alive might surprise you. Emotional self-control. Love rarely ends because of some huge betrayal. It often ends in small, overlooked moments when both people stop caring for it. A man's love grows with time, not only in peaceful times, but especially when things get hard. When you can be upset, but stay kind. When you can be disappointed, but not cruel. When you stand by your values, even during arguments. Men take note of these things, whether they admit it or not. They are always watching to see how emotionally safe they are with you. Not just when it's easy, but when things get tense. Can you disagree without damage? Can you stand your ground without tearing him down? If you can do that, you become the rarest kind of woman to him, someone he can face life's struggles with and still feel secure. Because real love doesn't mean no conflict. It means facing conflict without fear of emotional damage. That's what he's searching for. That's what makes him keep choosing you again and again, even in hard times. Even in silence, even when no one else gets it. It's not about never fighting. It's about knowing that even in tough times, you're still a team. And in a world full of surface level attraction and quick validation, a man will protect that kind of connection with everything he's got. Because when love doesn't just feel nice, but actually makes him better, stronger, wiser, more alive, he won't let it go. He stays, not out of obligation, but because he truly wants to. And for a man, that choice made quietly every single day is the clearest sign of love he can give. So now that you understand how men really fall in love, ask yourself, are you creating the emotional environment where love can grow? It's not about being flawless. It's about being genuine, real connection, mutual respect, emotional safety. That's what takes feelings of attraction and turns them into a lasting bond. If this made you think differently, or see love, or men, or even yourself in a new way, keep this conversation going. Share what spoke to you the most. Have you noticed any of this in your own experience? Like this video. If it helped you, share it with someone who may need this message. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep insights on love, human nature, and emotional growth. Leave a comment on what you'd like to explore next. I read everyone, because love isn't just a dream. It's something we create. One moment, one truth, one healing, step at a time. Until we speak again, stay open-hearted and strong in your worth.